Hey, welcome back to the Crash Space. My name is Andre. Thanks so much for tuning in. Today we're back with some more gameplay. We are playing Protection Nightcrawler versus Captain America, trying to answer the classic question, does sword truly beat shield? This is a Protection Nightcrawler deck, and you might know I'm a huge Nightcrawler fan. In fact, on this channel, we have an entire Aggression Age of Apocalypse expert campaign playthrough. You can find a link somewhere around my head. But we're going to be changing gears here, playing Protection. And as Protection Nightcrawler can do, we're going to be doing a lot of our damage during the villain phase. In fact, we're going to put a little condition on this game. We are not allowed to attack Captain America. All the damage we're going to do to Captain America is going to be done when he attacks us. And also, we're never going to take the shield off of him. We'll let him keep that the way we'll keep our swords just to make this a fair fight. Of course, there are timestamps in the description. If you want to jump straight to gameplay, please do so. Otherwise, we're going to take a couple of minutes talking about the deck and the decisions we made. Also, if you appreciate content like this, if you want to take a second to leave a like on the video, if you want to subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, all this sort of stuff really helps the channel grow and it's incredibly appreciated. Otherwise, let's talk Nightcrawler. This is a 2-1-3 stat line on an X-Men. Such a unique stat line. We've never seen this on a hero before. And while Nightcrawler definitely is going to be using his defense stat, he's largely not going to be exhausting to block, which means we can use that 2 thwart, which is really important in protection, which is an aspect that doesn't have a lot of ways to bring threat down. 2 thwart is really quite nice. Now, Nightcrawler is all about these cards, BAMF. We have 3 copies of this 0-cost upgrade. This is something you can attach 1 to an enemy. It says when that enemy attacks, you can choose to discard BAMF. You are defending without having to exhaust. As I call it, blocking without blocking. It's such a treat. It's one of the cheapest kind of ready effects you can find in this game. Now, we have a 3 defense stat. We will be increasing that. So every round, if we put this on the villain activates against us. We usually don't take any damage and we're ready going into the hero phase, which is an absolute treat, especially because our stats are really nice. Now, BAMFs are interesting, and we have a lot of cards that interact with BAMF. That actually is a resource that we have to discard for some of our cards to get their sort of kicker. And one thing I do want to say about BAMF, while we can always grab one from our discard pile in hero mode using our rapid teleportation ability, we spend a resource to go grab a BAMF. It's only once per phase. On our alter ego, we can instead grab them from our deck. So tracking where these 3 are really important. And one thing I really want to emphasize that it took me a while to focus on this, but it really improved my Nightcrawler game is make sure when you are decking out, you have access to a BAMF. Without a BAMF, you are so much worse of a hero. So when you're about to deck out and shuffle your discard pile back into your deck, make sure that you keep a BAMF on the hero, choose either not to discard it, maybe the turn before, or make sure you have one in your hand when you deck out, just so you have access. Again, if you jump down to alter ego, it's an easier thing to fix, but if you lose your whole discard pile and have no BAMFs, things are pretty rough, so just watch out. And of course, we have a bunch of cards that interact with BAMFs and use them as a resource or use them as a sort of kicker, and Tally Ho is a nice start. This 1-cost defense superpower says when you would use BAMF and discard it to block without blocking, instead return it to your hand, so you go up +1 card, and then you also deal 3 damage to the attacking enemy, which is quite nice. It's a nice way to use your BAMFs without having to recycle them in a bit more convoluted way. We have 2 copies. Scout ahead, this is important. We have 2 of these in our deck, and this can be a 1 for 6 as long as you have 2 different schemes with threat on them. This is either 1 for 3 on a superpower to remove 3 threat, but if you discard a BAMF from your hand, it's 3 and then another 3. I think this is so fascinating because this card uses BAMF as a different resource, and we have a couple cards like that where you have to discard them from your hand. So again, managing them, pulling them back with Tally Ho, getting one from your bin, you have to watch out because you only have so many ways to get to your BAMFs. So you have to make sure they're in the right place at the right time. Portaway is also really cool. I like cards like this that always allow you to change forms. You can do this in alter ego, or you could do this as a hero. It's just an action. Discard a copy of BAMF to teleport to your other form. So this allows us in the mid to late game. Usually we'll play this in hero mode to jump down to alter ego. It also readies us. So then we can just immediately recover, maybe grab a BAMF if we have one left in our deck using our alter ego ability, and then just jump back up into hero mode, getting ready to block. Really cute card. We also have Day Tripper, which is our unique ally. She's pretty well costed for what she does, but she grabs a BAMF and attaches it and does 1 damage to everything with a BAMF on it, paying 2 instead of 1 for the BAMF. And normally we play 1 from the BAMF using our rapid teleportation. You just get a lot of value with Day Tripper, and she's the 4th thwart we really need in this deck. Now, we have a bunch of other cards that care about BAMFs, but these are attacks, which means we can play them as long as we attack only minions, because we're not going to be attacking Captain America. This is a 2 for 3 or a 2 for 6, or technically a 2 for 12, depending on who has BAMFs attached to them. And Teleport Drop is one of my favorite flavorful Marvel Champions cards, where instead you grab the villain, you BAMF up into the sky, and then you drop them for 8 damage and a stun. Unfortunately, Captain America will be staying on the ground for this game. That's what we have decided. And we have some really good upgrades. I'm a sucker for upgrades. I love building stuff, and Kurt's Cutlass is perfect for the deck. Not only is it 2 restricted cards because it is 2 swords, it gives us +1 attack, which is nice, bringing us up to 2, but it gives us +1 defense, which is really important because we will be defending every single round and also retaliate 1. So now every time we're attacked, that's just some free damage we're going to be getting on Captain America. We also have the Prehensile Tail, which generates a wild resource for an event. And we have a lot of events playing a protection deck, a lot of one-cost events, but also gives us an additional slot, which we can use for a third weapon, which we will be holding 3 swords in this deck. So we're going to need that tail slot for sure. Finally, Kurt's Chapel. It's not bad. It's not the most important card. +1 recovery brings us to a nice recovery 4. And when we recover, a player can draw a card. It will be us because we're playing solo, but we generally recover at least once or twice every game. So if we find this, it's not a priority, but we will get it down. Now, this is a card that I'm really excited to try out because I've honestly not really played this card before. I think I want to say this came out in Vision and I was not a new player. I wasn't playing when Vision came out. And I know this was a very hyped card at the time. And since then, you don't really see it. It's Flow Like Water. There's a 2-cost upgrade. And it says after you play a defense card as a response, you can deal a damage to the character that's attacking you. This card is okay. I've never really built a deck around this. This deck currently has 8 defense events and a bit of recursion. So hopefully we're doing somewhere around 8 damage every deck cycle. That's okay. I think I want on average this card to do like 6 or 7 damage for it to feel really good. But I did change how I usually would build a perfect defense deck and played a couple more events than I'm used to. I want to be clear that a couple more defense events actually is a real big cost when it comes to deck building, because defense events are cards that don't really work in opening hands, or you can draw too many of them in the same hand. There's some really big costs associated to playing too many defensive events. So we're going to see how this is, but I will promise if I draw this, I will play it as long as it makes at least some amount of sense. Now let's talk about the events we're playing. We're playing a full playset of Not Today. This gives us +2 defense, and if we take no damage, we remove 2 threat, which is something we appreciate. As much as we have 2 thwart, we are going to have to be thwarting side schemes, and we have probably more thwarting to do than we are prepared for. Notably, when you do Bamf, you are defending. That still means you can play defense events like Not Today. So we're playing the full playset, so ideally we're not taking any damage, let alone doing threat on the way. We're also, of course, playing Riposte, and this did come alongside Nightcrawler. This gives us +2 defense, and if we take no damage, we do 3 damage back to the attacking enemy. With Retaliate, that's 4 damage. With Float Like Water, that's 5 damage. This is the way that we can whittle down Captain America by never attacking him. This technically is not an attack, it's a defense event, so it does beat stun and guard. A very useful card for many reasons, also because we can attack minions. Now, Defensive Energy, a card that I've almost never played. This is a sort of deck where if we're holding too many defense cards, this will allow us to draw a different hand. This resource generates a wild, and if you use it to play a defense event, you immediately draw a card, which is just nice. It makes you not start the hero phase with nearly no cards in hand. We're playing 2 copies. Maybe that's enough for 8 defense events. We'll find out. It's not a card I have a lot of experience with, as much as it seems really quite good. Now, when it comes to Riposte, when it comes to Retaliate, of course, this is a Change of Fortune deck and protection. This upgrade says that if you defeat something during the villain phase, draw 2 cards. It can be a minion, it can be the villain. And I do want to say that the Civil War villains are actually really good targets for Change of Fortune, because anytime you advance one of the villains, their text says they cannot take any more damage this phase. So if you get that out of the way during the villain phase, you can start the next hero phase and start swinging, as much as that's not exactly what we're able to do. This is really good. And with Retaliate, with Riposte, we can knock out minions pretty trivially. It's also really easy to defend against minions because we won't be exhausted after the hero attacks when we bamf the hero. And another good reason is we're playing our 3rd sword. It's Excelsior. This just came out in Civil War in the Hulkling. It's restricted, so we're going to need our tail to hold this. And it says after a hero defends, spend an energy resource to deal 2 damage to an enemy. Notably, it does not have to be the enemy that's attacking you, which wasn't very obvious to me the first couple games I played with this. So the idea is if they have villains attacking, we're going to bamf and block without blocking, and then we can do 2 damage to a minion. And if that knocks out the minion, Change of Fortune fires, and we just draw 2 cards, and the minion never activates against us. It's kind of perfect. It also just will translate an energy resource into 2 damage, and spending 1 card for 2 damage in this game is kind of a pretty reasonable floor. That's actually a really good floor, as much as you have to make the decision before you see the encounter card sometimes, and that can get a bit ugly. We're playing all the other cards we can in a perfect defensive deck, let alone a Retaliate deck. So Electrostatic Armor as long as we're defending, and we are defending more than most decks can. We have functionally Retaliate, it deals 1 damage back. We have Dauntless, which is truly Retaliate, as long as we're healthy and either at full health or above full health, which we can do. We have Unflappable, of course. If we block or we defend constantly, we don't take damage, we draw a card. And to help us on all those conditions, we have the new Defensive Conditioning, which is just such a great card. 2-cost upgrade gives us +3 hit points and +1 defense, which helps with perfect blocking. It helps with Dauntless. It just gives us more soak because we only have 12 health and we don't have a lot of allies. So we sometimes have to take a hit every once in a while. Now, this is actually one of the most important cards in the deck. We're playing 3 copies of Taunt, and this is one of my favorite protection cards. It did get reprinted in the Civil War with a slightly different art, but one of the big things that annoys me sometimes by playing event-heavy protection decks is you can draw hands that just have a whole bunch of protection events, and that's all they have. And if you were jumping up from Altario where the hero hasn't attacked you, or the hero barely attacked you, they were stunned, or they only attacked you once, or you can just end up with a hand that is just events that you legally can't play because they're defense traded. And taunt is one of the ways that you can say, I don't care, attack me now. And we have so much value when the villain attacks us with retaliate, with Excelsior, with Unflappable. All this sort of stuff matters, and now we can force it to happen during the hero phase. Also with Bamf, we can usually get one, sometimes two copies of Bamf in every turn cycle, and there's only one villain, so the second Bamf is kind of useless. So we can trade a Bamf kind of for a ready, taunt, exhaust without exhausting, or block without blocking, draw 3 cards, get all our value. Taunt is just like the nicest glue that keeps together a deck that's way too defense oriented to make more of the problems that generate tempo, attack problems, defense problems, things that we're good at solving. So we're playing the full playset. It's actually one of our best draws on turn 1, which is like really kind of weird. Now we're playing very few allies. Outside of Day Tripper, we just have Jocasta and Professor X. Jocasta is like one of the biggest staples when you play Protection because she grabs a defense event from your bin, attaches it to Jocasta, and you can play it as if you're in your hand. And we again have 8 really good defense events, let alone replaying that stuff means we can bring our Bamfs back, fire flow like water, all that sort of good stuff. And she can thwart for 4, which is great. Now, Prof X represents one of the most expensive cards in our deck as well, next to Jocasta. Prof X thwarts for 3. Might not actually be the perfect inclusion for this deck because we usually don't want to block with allies. We want to block with ourselves, with our Bamfs. So the Professor X, like 1-turn survival, doesn't really line up with our game plan. But the Confuse is really good because it allows us to jump down. Thwart 3 is really good. Stunning a minion sometimes can matter while you set up a Change of Fortune thing. And even readying ourselves as an X-Men can go pretty far because that technically means this is like a thwart for 5 if we are ever exhausted. So we'll play Prof X and Jocasta, but that's all the minions we have besides Day Tripper. For resources, I had X-Gene in the deck, but I did cut it because I found out, hey, we're not playing any of our attack events, so that really lowers the amount of cards you can use X-Gene on. Instead, we have Deft Focus. In fact, we have the other art. Deft Focus as an action, so you can't do it during the villain phase, will generate a resource or reduce the cost of your next superpower. It's kind of the same thing as much as this is an action, not a resource ability. Most of our cards are superpower cards, at least the Nightcrawler cards. Almost all of our events, let alone some of our upgrades, this card goes really far and it's really cheap. And then we're playing a copy of X-Jet, which is very expensive. It's the most expensive card in the deck, but it generates a wild for X-Men, and we are an X-Men in hero mode, and we do need an energy generator consistently if we're playing the Excelsior. So ideally, we get these down as soon as we can. And finally, to wrap the deck up, Energy, Genius, and Strength, all the doubles we're playing. And for what it's worth, our cost curve is actually really small. There's a small chance you could get away with not playing the doubles, but I do think we have enough 2 or 3 cost cards that's probably just worth it, let alone some villain attachments really want you to spend the right resources at the right time. So they don't feel terrible, but they're not the star of the show for sure. And that's the deck. It's really quite fun in my test games. We've definitely toe-to-toed some pretty impressive villains. We're getting to block for about 5 when we're set up, 7 with events. And once you set up, that's a big thing. Once we get all our upgrades on our table, our deck is almost entirely just events and mostly defense events or cards that draw like Taunt. And you start flying through your deck and just doing so much flow like water damage, hopefully mostly retaliate damage and knocking out a lot of minions before they can even get one attack in. So with that, let's see if Captain America can stand in our way. This is Civil War Captain America. So let's talk about the setup because it is a bit modular. So our main scheme here is superhero resistance. We're playing on expert. So we have standard and expert. So we're playing against a villain 3 and 4, leader 3 and 4. We are playing with 4 modular sets. And I'll be honest, I usually play with only 3 modular sets. And that's because Captain America, like almost all of the villains from this box, only have like functionally 8 cards in the deck. So you don't see them that often. So you kind of lose a lot of the theme. I instead went for the 4 modular sets just because I wanted to see more minions because minions are kind of more fun. They are a problem because we can block against a villain really well. Sometimes minions make it a bit trickier, let alone we're a Change of Fortune deck. The minions we picked, we were kind of thematic. We're only picking sort of like Hell's Kitchen type New York City, I think, kind of characters. So we have the defenders that do some stun and confuse. Largely Luke Cage and Jessica Jones are there. We have Cloak and Dagger, which I'm assuming are from the same sort of area. They do a bit of healing, a bit of indirect damage. They add a bunch of threat. They're very interesting. I like this set a lot. We have Hell's Kitchen itself, which I'm not 100% sure what they do. I think they just like cause more activations. I think that's what they do. I'm not sure. And then finally, which we'll be seeing relatively soon, we have Spider-Man, who is only 1 minion, but comes with a bunch of interesting attachments and a cool treachery and sides game. And it's always fun to see Spider-Man. In competitive mode, we're not competitive mode, we're in cooperative mode. So all we do as a setup is we grab Fearless Determination, which is Captain America's side scheme. It starts in play, it has 3 threat and an amplify. And honestly, I've played some test games where I've never cleared this. Amplify means we get attacked harder, but it's not the biggest deal. We do block really well. When defeated, we attach Cap Shield to Captain America, and we're never going to take that, so it won't do that much. And then he immediately activates against whoever defeated this. Again, we might clear it. It's not the biggest priority. Sometimes we just want to keep it there so that when we draw a master plan, it just puts threat there. That's totally fine. But it's not the worst setup. It doesn't have a hazard or an acceleration. I'd be much more scared of those. Now let's flip this over. We chose here Gathering Support. I thought this one was more interesting. So it doesn't start with any threat. When it hits 7, we go to the second stage. That's the final stage. And it just says, when revealed, the enemy team picks a minion and puts it face down. We'll be drawing it this turn or in the next villain phase. Because there is no enemy team, we're meant to pick the worst thing for us. And I'll be honest, this set doesn't have the worst minions. It's not like when you draw Namor or when you draw Maria Hill or Paladin. We got Spider-Man. He'll attach something to us, which is pretty annoying. He has a 2/2 stat line. He attacks for 4. It's funny how he schemes more than Corset Spider-Man, but he'll be waiting for us in just the upcoming turn. Otherwise, let's turn our eyes to the villain. It's Captain America, 18 health toughness, or more accurately, the shield's attached to him. And whenever the shield's attached to him, then he gets toughness. He attacks for 2 and schemes for 2 as much as there's an amplify. Cap shield, we'll kind of keep it where it is. But the short of the long is whoever it's attached to gets retaliate. So Captain does have retaliate. And any attacks against them lose piercing, which is not something we have. If you ever do damage to Captain America or Captain America does damage to you while the shield's on you, you steal the shield. So it can bounce back and forth. There's a bunch of counter cards that move it around. In fact, we probably want to keep it on us to be safe, but we're going to just leave it over there because we got swords. He'll bring the shield. Let's see how things go. All right, shuffle this a fair bit. I'm just going to do a quick shuffle on the camera of the encounter deck. We have shuffled this before, but we should be off in just a moment. We'll give that a cut. Give this a cut. And let's go on our way. So our alter ego ability allows us to grab a BAMF from the deck. So we functionally kind of have a 7-card hand size, as much as that BAMF will actually be quite useful on this turn. We have a lot of upgrades that we want to set up. Things like Unflappable, things like our research generators. Change of fortune early would be really good. Buffing our defense stats really important. So our mulligan's actually really important, especially because we draw a lot of cards like this, which don't do anything on turn 1. So we're going to be discarding all these defense events because we don't want to hold on to them and going into the next phase. We'll just hopefully draw some. That's just how defense events work. Genius. This we might keep. This is the X-Men Genius. Hopefully we get something expensive to put down. We have a lot of somewhat expensive cards. Taunt is actually quite interesting. This is very playable on turn 1. And that's because on turn 1, there's not much we have to do. We have 2 thwart, which in theory we could work on the sides game. It's not really important. So we could always just block for 3 and then draw 3 cards. Like, it's a really good trade. I actually like turn 1 taunt way more. It also means that if we ever mulligan into defense events, we can just like straight up play them and they do something. It's not that we're going to be keeping this, but I'd actually consider keeping this taunt unless we draw some really great setup cards. Professor X, we could keep that. Having the confuse kind of on deck is nice. The 3 thwart could line up with fearless determination. And then when we clear this, Captain America attacks us. We could defend that instead. So honestly, that's a nice way to clear this early. And then we have a confuse if we ever want to panic jump down to the next couple turns, as much as Captain America can get stalwart if he draws his helmet, I want to say. Scout ahead. It's a card we won't keep. It's 3 thwart, which Professor X is doing for us. And we have a riposte, which we also won't keep. So didn't draw any of our defense stuff. But I think this is a good enough start. We'll throw these 4 out and we'll do our mulligan. So we get Float Like Water. I said we would play this if we could. So ideally we get to play Professor X and the Float Like Water. We could still consider playing the taunt here. Let's see what else we draw into. That's like, this is the problem. This seems so much more important than Float Like Water. I don't want to go against my word this soon. So we also have Day Tripper, who's good. She's a lot of earth warding. She's quite nice, especially because she gets the BAMF for free. But speaking of getting the BAMF for free, before we do anything, we'll use our alter ego to search our deck for one of our 3 BAMFs. Again, we want to track where these are. We always want one in our discard pile when we're in hero mode. And when we deck out, we want to make sure we have one close to us. Okay, so let's talk about this. Professor X, what does he do? He can block 1 attack this turn, which is fine. We have no benefit from blocking on turn 1. So we want to say like play 3 for Professor X. That's an option. Professor X could clear fearless determination. We get attacked, we block it. That's totally fine. That leaves us with these 4 cards, which are not super useful. In fact, it's kind of ugly. That is making me think we might not play Professor X, or if we play Professor X, we still do something like this. And then maybe we taunt. Hold on, I need to think about this. This is an interesting start. I think we really need to think about this. This is honestly my priority. Defensive conditioning is just such a nice card. We have a lot of perfect block cards. So getting our health up, let alone getting our defense up, that's the most important thing. And 2 cost is really quite good. Professor X is not my priority. Like, honestly, clearing that is not that important to me. So if we do defensive conditioning first, we're at 4 block. Then we could throw out Professor X to play taunt. We could just block the attack. We'll draw 3 more cards. With those 3 more cards, we'll still have a BAMF that we can put on the villain. We can play Flow Like Water. Or instead of playing the BAMF, we can play Day Tripper. Because Day Tripper is 2 cards, get a BAMF back. We played Flow Like Water. I think that's much better. So I don't think we play Professor X here. So I think that's a play. Let's give this a shot. We'll first play Genius for defensive conditioning. So we'll give ourselves 3 health. We're up on 12. That's also useful because we haven't drawn our Dauntless yet, which wants us to be at above health. Here, we're just going to flip up. Again, in hero mode or Texas, we can go grab a BAM from our bin. We probably won't be doing that. And so now I'm just going to use this Professor X, who I don't think there's any chance we're going to play. And then we're going to play Taunt. And this is what I mean on this turn. We might as well block because we're defending for 4. And we can Bamf later because our ready here only does 2 thwart, which we're not super excited about. So we're just going to let the villain attack us. And after that, we'll draw 3 cards. So Captain America is attacking for 2 plus an amplify. So at least 3. We'll defend for 4. So 1, 2, 3. Boost on Jessica Jones. I think we're confused. Your leader's confused, otherwise you're confused. So we're confused, which is fine. So that's 1, 2, 3 damage. We take no damage. So that's perfectly okay. And then Taunt says we draw 3 cards. So we get a Tally-Ho that we don't really need. A Dauntless, which is actually really cheap Retaliate if we want to set that up. But I said we play Flow Like Water. Strength actually might open that up. That's just a double. So maybe we're going to play all of this. So Day Tripper we can pay for 2. That gets on the table Bamf. So that sorts the Bamf out. And then we can play Flow Like Water. And then we just discard a card. That's not great. Say that we play Flow Like Water as a double. I think we were 1 resource over. So say we play a Flow Like Water as a double, which we said we would. We can play Day Tripper. She gets the Bamf on there. And then we just throw out the Dauntless. Or we hold the Dauntless. I think holding the Dauntless is like, okay. There's much more important priority setup cards we haven't found yet. Like our research generators, let alone our Cutlasses. Dauntless is fine because we're like pretty healthy still. And that's like cheap retaliate damage. Day Tripper's good because she's a panic block. She'll maybe thwart for 2. Maybe she won't actually because I don't honestly think we clear this anytime soon. And then she puts a Bamf, which that takes out the toughness, which is okay. Yeah, I think we'll do it. I'm going to commit to Flow Like Water. So we'll play the Flow Like Water. And then I'm going to spend the Bamf and the Tally-Ho and we'll pay Day Tripper. So when she enters play, we can search for a Bamf from anywhere. We'll search our discard pile. We'll attach it to an enemy and then we'll do 1 damage to the enemy. So we're going to take the toughness off. It's not an attack, so we don't have to worry about retaliate, but we're set up to block without blocking. And then all we have is a Dauntless. I think we can't hold on to it. We have to watch out though, actually Spider-Man's showing up and we don't have a hand that can deal with Spider-Man really easily. We're going to need Excelsior or Riposte. We've seen 1 Riposte so far. So like, we probably shouldn't keep this. I mean, maybe we do because it's a fun card. It'll bring us to Retaliate 1, but I actually don't think it's a priority. I think we want to see deeper in our deck. It's really important we find our key upgrades. So I'm just going to discard it. Before we pass, are we doing anything with Day Tripper? I don't think thwarting 2 on this really matters. If we're going to thwart this, we're going to thwart it all at once by playing our scheme card, whatever it's called. Scout Ahead. Scout Ahead does 3. Technically, we're not going to see Professor X for a while, but we have a bunch of 3 thwart cards as much as we're confused. So I'm just going to leave this and use her on the main scheme, let alone minions. Like the 2 of us together can hopefully somehow work on Spider-Man. We'll see how it works out. We'll draw. First Cutlass is okay. So this is one of the cards we're really drawing for. So it's good that we found it immediately, but this will put us at 2 attacks. So Day Tripper plus this can knock out Spider-Man. Here's a Port and Punch, which if we play, it's against minions. We're never going to attack Captain America. There's a Riposte, which we could do extra damage to Captain America. Now, I don't want to pay for our events this soon. We generally want to play them once we're set up. Our priority is setting up, getting our upgrades on the table, and then starting to play our defensive events once we are set up. Because like cards like this are really expensive. I don't think we're going to be able to play this unless we draw a double. We don't. We drew one of our Scout Aheads, which I don't know if we play that. Now, main scheme goes to 1. It doesn't really have text, but Captain America will attack us for 2 and an Amplify in a card. This is when we're going to Bamf away. So we're going to discard this and we are blocking without defending or blocking without exhausting. So we're technically defending for 4. I don't think I'm going to Riposte. We should plan this turn out. We're going to spend 2 on the Cutlasses and then it leaves us with this awkward hand. So maybe we spend 2 on the Cutlasses. We do 1 on Scout Ahead to get rid of the Confuse. Wait, that's everything I'm realizing. The other options, we can do 3 for the X-Jet. We can use the X-Jet to get a Bamf and hold on to the Cutlass. That also might be reasonable. The X-Jet's really good because we have a lot of 1-cost defense events and this is not an action, it's a resource. That's another way of playing this. I think there's no way that doesn't float a card, right? Like we play Cutlasses. Well, we could Scout Ahead to get rid of the Confuse, but I think we want to spend 1 resource to get a Bamf. So we probably throw out the Riposte to get a Bamf. Yeah, if that's the case, we're definitely not going to Riposte here. So 1, 2, 3. Boost on Dagger. If Cloak is in play, reveal Dagger, otherwise deal 1 damage to a character you control. Okay, we'll take 1 damage. It's only 1 damage. We don't have our Dauntless anymore, so we can take a bit of damage and not be too stressed about it. So that's 1, 2, 3. We perfectly block. We're going to draw 2 encounter cards. First, it's Spider-Man. So Spider-Man, 4 attack, 2 attack, 4 health, 2 scheme. But when he comes into play, if you're tangled up, he activates against you. Otherwise, you're going to go grab it tangled up and you're going to deal it to yourself as an encounter card, which we'll be drawing in a second. I'll show you what that is. This guy we can knock out by attacking for 2, Day Tripper for 2. Usually we want to keep some minions in play because we want to knock them out with things like Change of Fortune, and we have things like Excelsior, but until we're set up, we probably just need to make sure there's not things on the table. All right, unknown card. Oh, Defend Hell's Kitchen. So this might change our priority. I don't want to draw another encounter card. Hazard icons are bad. We're playing on Heroic. Hinder 1, so comes in with 4. Threat cannot be removed while there is a defender minion in play. Spider-Man is not a defender. He's an Avenger, an Elite, not a Web Warrior. And then we get Tangled Up. So this attaches to us because there's no leader. When we attack or thwart, we discard this instead. It's worth noting Confuse has priority. So when we thwart, technically Confuse comes off first because it's like static effects, then status cards, then interrupts. But that's us. So tricky. If we wanted to get rid of Defense Hell's Kitchen, we can't. Yeah, it's actually very hard to get rid of this. If we thwart for 2, we get rid of the Confuse. We play Scout Ahead, then we get rid of the Tangled Up. Other thing we could do is that we could like pay 2 to play Port and Punch to get rid of the Tangled Up, and then Scout Ahead and Day Tripper. Like the only way to get rid of Defense Hell's Kitchen uses our hand in a really weird way, which is we have to play an attack event and then play a thwart. So it's our whole hand where we throw out the Cutlasses, which is one of our most important cards, and the X-Jet, which is the X-Jet's really quite good. So if we want to leave that, we could like work on Spider-Man. The problem is if we attack, Tangled Up goes away. Day Tripper could attack for 2. So Spider-Man will probably get 1 attack off on us. I think that's acceptable. And then if we draw a Riposte, maybe we can knock him out. So I don't think we're able to clear that. So I think actually Day Tripper will work on this, and then she can work on it or finish it next turn. I think we can afford to draw 1 more turn of 2 encounter cards. So that's the case. We can decide which of these to get rid of. My guess is probably the thwart one, honestly. So I think we're going to stick to what we said we'd do. We'll pitch 1, 2, 3 for the X-Jet, holding on to the Cutlass, because we're going to have to play that next turn. We're not going to have a use for it today. This generates a wild resource, which will just immediately use it to look at our hero text. We're going to rapid teleportation. We'll grab a BAMF from the bin. We're going to attach that BAMF to Captain America. So we're sorted for blocking next round as much as he could double activate. Day Tripper will thwart for 2. We'll hold on to this. We will thwart, which gets rid of the Confuse, and we'll pass. Simple turn. And we'll draw up back to 5. We got a Not Today, which we could play that. Actually, that's perfect. Because now when the villain attacks us, we can Not Today. That removes 2 threat, and it'll clear Defend Hell's Kitchen before we draw an extra encounter card. That's actually such a good top deck. I didn't plan around that. Probably should have. Change of Fortune is awesome because we can set this up to knock out Spider-Man next turn. We have Excelsior, which unfortunately we probably can't play because this card takes 2 restricted slots. This takes 1 until we find a Prehensile Tail, and usually Curse Cutlass gets priority. And finally, Jocasta. It's quite good. We definitely have defense events we can grab, let alone the Riposte, but I think our hand might be a bit spoken for here. We'll see. This goes to 2. The Captain America is attacking us for 2, amplifying a card. We'll definitely BAMF away, so we defend without exhausting. Here, we're going to use the X-Jet, I believe, and play Not Today. So here we're blocking for 4 + 2, which is 6. Captain America attacks for 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6. Oh, that scared me. I always count this in the base attack. Technically, if you reveal multiple encounter cards or boost cards, excuse me, that does matter, but it's an under fire, which love to see that as a boost card. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we take no damage. Our only trigger, actually, Flow Like Water should have gone off first because technically, I'm not 100% sure. If you know, please let me know in the comments. But Flow Like Water says after you play a defense card. The way I play defense cards, I put them on the table and I let them resolve during the attack, but I think they just play, give their ongoing effect, and immediately go into the bin. So that means that should have done 1 damage to Captain America's. Doesn't really matter here. I just think the timing is not super intuitive the way I play. All right, we took no damage, so we can remove 2 threat from us game. We'll get rid of Hell's Kitchen. That's sick. No longer getting a second encounter card. And then we did Flow Like Water. That's our only thing we have to deal with. Now Spider-Man's going to attack. If we want to block Spider-Man, we could. It's functionally the same as like healing 2, or recovering 2, which is not great. This hand's a bit clumsy because like we're again floating 1 card forever. We could play Kurt's Cutlasses and then throw out Change of Fortune to go get a BAMF. I think a BAMF is more valuable. We're just going to take 2 damage down to 9. Counter card, protect the innocent. Give the enemy leader or each minion tough status card. Yikes. Okay. So Spider-Man's a bit stronger than he was. We talked about him not being a problem, but it's been a couple turns and he's still here. And there's a lot of boost cards that say like if Spider-Man's in play, do something bad. So it's back to us. Okay. So Retaliate's a nice way to take toughness off. Issue is we have to decide between playing the Change of Fortune or getting a BAMF. Change of Fortune doesn't look like it's doing much now. It's really quite good. We might actually just discard it for a BAMF. Like we're going to be decking out in 2 to 3 hands, depending on if we play a taunt or not. So I think that might be acceptable. For sure, we're just going to do something to get rid of Tangled Up. So let's just say that we attacked. So we have to discard this. It's fine. But I think we're going to pay 2 for Kurt's Cutlasses. So really quite good. We're now up at 5 defense, 2 attack, and we have retaliate 1. So I have a button for that. So now everything that hits us is going to lose its toughness, which is a nice spot to be in. And then I actually think we're going to discard this. It kind of sucks, but what can we do? And we're going to use our hero text to grab a Bamf just to get a cheap ready next turn. It's not the end of the world if we're not ready. Like, we're going to be thwarting for 2. It's not super important. I don't think we're going to do anything with Day Tripper. She might be our planning blocker. So I guess if we have Day Tripper, we don't necessarily have to block against Captain America. We could just keep our Change of Fortune in hand. But I don't know. How many minions have we seen so far? We've seen 3. I think the deck only has 7 minions. So there's only 4 minions left. Yeah, probably Change of Fortune can show up in the second cycle. We'll pass. It's a bummer. It's like one of the most fun cards, but I do think this is a safer angle. We'll drop. We have Taunt. Okay. So this is nice because we probably will be ready next round. So we can just taunt for more cards. Port and Punch might do what we need to knock out Spider-Man. Death Focus, we wanted this as soon as possible. Cheapest research generator. We have so many superpowers. Kurt's Chapel, if we want to go to church, get a bit of recovery, get a card draw, and we have an energy, which lines up not amazingly with this hand, considering all we have is Port and Punch, but this goes to 3. Captain America is attacking for 2, amplify and a card. We have no defense events. We could taunt. We could just take it. We could block. I think we're just going to Bamf it here. We have nothing that uses Bamf. Yeah, we have nothing that uses Bamf. So we are defending for 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're taking damage here. It's a shield block. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We blocked for 5. So we'll take 1 damage. So we're now below our starting health for whatever Dauntless does. Retaliate 1 takes off the toughness. Now Spider-Man's going to attack us. I think we're just going to have to take this damage. It's just 2 damage putting down to 6. We still haven't drawn our jump down to alter ego card, which we could draw soon. But we want to be ready for Captain America, let alone we might get another encounter card where Captain America attacks us. So we'll just take 2. We take 2, but toughness comes off. The retaliate. 1 encounter card. This is why we keep this thing around. This is master plan. It's always nice to keep a side scheme around. Adds 4 threat. So if we didn't have a side scheme here, we'd have to go get one, which they're usually about 4 threat anyways. Okay, it's back to us. Our goal here is to play Taunt. Taunt is pretty good. Draws a lot of cards. So I think we can just X-Jet for the Taunt before we commit any cards from our hand. This research generator, we have nothing that needs a specific resource. Notably, this is not a deck playing ready for a fight, which has been a while since I've done that. Taunt, we'll just play it. So the villain attacks you. So Captain America is going to be attacking for 2, a card, and an amplify. We are going to block. So we have nothing else to do really here. So 1, 2, 3. Cap's Helmet. So attach to Captain America, gain Stalwart. I think we only have 1 confused card, so this is not super impactful. But he schemes for 1 more, and the only way to get rid of this is do a basic attack against Captain America and spend 3 resources of the same type. We're not going to do that. We promised we wouldn't attack Captain America, so that's just going to be there. That being said, there's only 3 attack. We took no damage. Kurt's Cutlass will do retaliate 1. Villain goes on to 16, and now Taunt resolves, and we draw 3 cards. Prehensile Tail, that's perfect. Another cheap research generator. We have a Riposte, which not great. Everyone's exhausted. We could set up a Riposte on Spider-Man. That would actually defeat him. And then an Electrostatic. So it looks like we just have a bit of a setup turn. Not a huge surprise. So the cool thing here is that we can throw out the Port and Punch, because I think we can actually knock out Spider-Man now with the Riposte. So we can throw out Port and Punch to play Death Focus. Notably, and we have a couple of superpowers we can play during the villain phase. This is an action, so we have to do this during the hero phase. So we'll exhaust this to reduce the cost of our next superpower. Luckily, this superpower is a resource, so we can do this one during the villain phase. So this generates a wild for an event. Doesn't have to be a defense event, but we will. This leaves us with this hand. So my guess is we will, well, we're not playing an event here. So we can play the Chapel, or we can play the Armor. Regardless, we want to spend a resource to go grab a Bamf. We are going to be drawing from the bottom of the deck 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cards. Just to look through it, there's still 2 Bamfs in there, which is pretty wacky. There's also a Port away, so we're going to be able to recover. The question is, do we want to have Kurt's Chapel to recover and card draw next turn, or do we want Electrostatic Armor, which is a bit more retaliate, which is nice. It's definitely nice. I honestly think the Chapel might be okay here because we're going to have to recover, and it recovers for 4, which puts us at 10, which is above our starting health, as much as technically 9 is too. So I think we're going to hold on to the Riposte because it knocks out Spider-Man. So I'm going to spend 2 on the Chapel. There's a chance the Armor is correct, but the Armor is easy to play on the second cycle. So this will give us +1 recovery, plus we can draw a card. And I'll throw out the Armor, use our hero text to go grab a Bamf, and of course, we're going to put it on the Captain. And I'll hold on to the Riposte, unless there's more Riposte in our deck. I think we've seen all of them. Second Riposte, third Riposte, yeah. So this is our last Riposte, which perfectly knocks out Spider-Man. And then we can always chump block with Day Tripper if we get attacked the second time because of an encounter card. We'll pass. This is getting a bit scary. We haven't seen an advance yet, but if this pops, it's like not the end of the world. 1, 2, defensive energy. That makes the riposte really quite nice. We need to mess around a bit more with some of the weird resource cards. I think they're actually a lot better than I think they are. 3rd Bamf. There's the Port Away. This is the card that allows us to jump to Alter Ego. And luckily, because we drew a Bamf, we're going to always have access to 2 Bamfs, let alone we might be able to draw 1 more from the deck. And another defensive energy is kind of weird. So that's the downside when they don't line up. This goes to 4. Captain America is attacking. We will Bamf. So we are blocking for 5, being attacked for 2 and an amplify. So for 3. We're not going to riposte here because we want to riposte Spider-Man. So 1, 2, 3. There's an advance gone. That's sick. So we take no damage. We retaliate 1. That's all we have here. We didn't play a defensive event. Now we'll play a defensive event, which is unfortunately overkill with the flow like water. So Spider-Man's not going to attack us. Here we're going to actually go to exhaust. We're going to exhaust because we're going to choose to play, and we're going to use the defensive energy to play riposte. So a couple things happen. Defensive energy, because it's an interrupt, I think it immediately draws. So here interrupt, we draw a card. It's a not today. We in theory could still play this in the same window, which if we look at our hand, maybe we do because our hand doesn't do much. Yeah, I think we do. That's really goofy. This is really, really silly. Also now flow like water fires. So we do 1 damage to Spider-Man. Fine. It's not going to matter. I will continue to do this. I think now we'll defensive energy again for not today. So now we're technically blocking against Spider-Man. This draws a card. This does another damage. We're technically blocking against Spider-Man for 9, if I'm not mistaken. We take no damage, obviously, because Spider-Man's attacking for 2. So we can remove 2 threat from his scheme. We can do 3 damage to Spider-Man, which knocks him out. Sick. And we cycled through the hand. Those were technically free as much as we had research generators to spend on those. And we're still left with a very playable hand. Counter card. Street Defenders. Ooh, good that we got rid of Spider-Man. I think this makes minions activate. Each minion against a player activates. Otherwise, the enemy leader activates against you. Do not give it a boost card. So Captain America is now just attacking for a pure 2. No boost card. I was just about to grab a boost card. So this is for 2. We're going to deck out. We probably could just take 2 damage. We are exhausted. So we take 2 damage. He takes 1. So like not a bad trade. We could also block with Day Tripper, but I think I'd rather just have Day Tripper do this. And then when we deck out, she's back. Thwarting is a bit more important than 2 health here because we're going to heal. So I'll just take 2. We'll take 2. Retaliate 1. Okay. 4 to 14. Back to us. So what are we going to do? I think we're going to port away. Well, we're exhausted. Yeah, we'll just port away straight away. Actually, no, first. So, okay, the one thing we want to do is we're going to deck out. And when we deck out, we're going to be drawing one of these cards with the chapel. We want to make sure there's a Bamf on the table. We can always grab a Bamf from our deck using our alter ego ability. So I don't think it's an issue. And then we're going to play Unflappable, and we're probably not going to play the next card, which I'm not 100% sure what it is. So I don't think it matters the order. We'll just play port away here. So discard a copy of Bamf, change forms and ready your identity. So we'll jump down to alter ego and we'll ready. Down in alter ego first, so we don't lose the card draw. I'm going to search our deck for a Bamf because it's 1 and 3. So it looks like a tally ho and a teleport drop. So not super useful. So that's great. Now we're going to use Kurt's Chapel. So we'll exhaust to recover for what's 4. And Kurt's Chapel says after you make a basic recovery, exhaust Kurt's Chapel, and we'll draw a card. So we draw the tally ho. So the bottom card is the card that we're not allowed to play. This is now our hand. We are exhausted. So that's fine. We will flip up. We will attach the Bamf to Captain America so we're ready to go. We will use the X-Jet to play Unflappable, which is super important for our engine. This would have drawn us a lot of cards so far this round. But now anytime we defend and don't take damage, or at least once because we exhaust this, we draw a card. Technically, we have the other art. This tally ho is not bad. It's super cheap. And it does 3 more damage to Captain America, 4 damage with this, 5 damage with Retaliate. I think we'll hold on to the tally ho, and we'll use Day Tripper before we deck out, and she will just thwart this for 2. Getting knocked out. She hits the deck cycle, so we can play her again in a moment. We have a Bamf, so we're allowed to deck cycle. We'll pass. So far, so good. Things have been smooth. Our machine is oiled, well oiled even. We draw the teleport drop we knew about. We're going to have to shuffle our deck and give ourselves some counter card. Give me one moment. I think one of my favorite things about Protection is that it's one of the decks you can play with very few to no allies. It's my favorite thing about Nightcrawler. He's just like really hard to pin down. He's always defending, always jumping out of the way. It's just like such a fun playstyle. As much as like aggression on Nightcrawler was also just a ton of fun. Teleport drop is like so good in that deck. There's Stalwart too, so it's not like we want to play the teleport drop, but again, we're never going to attack Captain America. Our damage now, like we've set up most of our things. We did whiff on a couple of things like our Excelsior, our Change of Fortune, our Electrostatic, but eventually our deck will only be events largely. And that point, like you fly through damage. So like 2.5 cycle, 3 more cards. We even could have stayed in Alter Ego, but actually we like being attacked. Scout ahead. That's nice if we draw a side scheme, which we're going to have multiple counter cards. A strength is a double. Change of fortune, love to see it. We can set that up. And tally ho will be our event we want to play with our prehensile. Okay, main scheme goes to 1. Cap is attacking. For 2 and a card, we'll bamf away. So we are defending. Here, oh, actually, before we bamf away, we're going to use the prehensile to generate 1 for an event. And we'll play, not you, tally ho. So tally ho says, after Bamf makes Nightcrawler the defender, return that copy of Bamf to your hand instead, and then we deal 3 damage. So Captain America takes 3. It's not an attack, so we don't take retaliate, let alone take the shield. So villain takes 3. It's a defense event, so Flow Like Water does 1. So now we're defending against 2 and a boost. I think that's good enough. 1, 2, 3. Boost on Daredevil. Exhaust a character you control. Oh, that's a bummer. Has to be us. That sucks because we might actually get smacked hard here. That being said, we did some cool stuff. We have retaliate, so the villain takes 1 more, and unflappable fires because we didn't take damage and we blocked, so we draw a card. The scout ahead, so we have a lot of thwart stuff. Not excited being exhausted here. This is the bad part of not playing allies, but see how many times we get attacked. In fact, now I'm glad we have our thwart stuff. It's advance. Captain America schemes for 1, 2, 3 and an amplify, so 4, 5. So that's a lot. Again, 1, 2, 3 on gang up, 4, 5. This goes to 6 of 7. That's exactly within our reach. Super serum. Okay, so he's going to hit us hard. This is a really scary attachment. I've been told that I was probably doing this incorrectly because the turn that you draw this as a boost, it doesn't discard it. So next turn, Captain America will be attacking for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with overkill, which is still within the realm of us perfect blocking if we get lucky. We need a defense event largely. Okay, it's back to us. We have a Bamf, which is nice. So we technically can do a scout ahead for value. I guess we will. So we'll generate 1 for a superpower and we'll play scout ahead. So it says remove 3 threat. So we'll drop this to 3. And we might as well, because I don't think we're using all these resources. You may discard a copy of Bamf to remove 3 threat for something else. So 7 goes down to 4. If we clear this, we clear this. It's not super important. Next, we will play teleport drop for a change of fortune. So adding this to the combo line of perfect defense, if we knock something out with retaliate or riposte or our sword, eventually Excelsior, we can draw cards, let alone we can knock out Captain America. Then I'm going to use X-Jet, slightly wasteful, to play the other scout ahead. We're not going to discard a Bamf here, so we'll just clear the main scheme. We in theory could jump down here if we wanted to. He actually schemes pretty hard with the amplify. He schemes for a lot. And then we're just going to throw out this strength, which is overkill, using our hero ability to go attach a Bamf. And again, if we didn't have an access to Bamf, that's why it's really important when you cycle out. Make sure you have access to a Bamf and we'll pass. So here we're really hoping to draw into a defense event, specifically not tally ho, something that boosts our stats. Taunt. All right, it might be easier to play in a second when he loses the serum. There's the armor that we come getting back. So that gets us retaliate, sort of. Another taunt, another Bamf. We need a defense event. Riposte. Okay, we found one. A lot of damage and +2 defense. So we might not take damage on this attack. Main scheme goes to 1. Captain America attacks for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with the amplify and has overkill. So we'll Bamf away and we're going to do prehensile to generate for event. And we'll play riposte. So as soon as we play riposte, technically this is, I think this technically resolves like instantly. So Flow Like Water does a damage, but now we're defending for 7. If we don't take any damage, he'll take 3 more. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Boost. I think this does nothing because there's no Spider-Man. So not in play, doesn't reveal. So we took no damage. We discard Super Soldier Serum at the end of the attack. So at the end of this attack, yeah, just discard it. So we took no damage. So riposte fires, we do 3 to the villain. Retaliate 1 does 1 to the villain. Unflappable draws a card. And that's our engine. We draw into Professor X, which is actually kind of sick as much as they're stalwart. 1 counter card. Ooh, oh, this is the one that you want riposte on. Okay, it's good that we drew Professor X because we have some thwarting to do. It's Shadow of the Past. Our nemesis is really cool. Very frustrating if you play sometimes standard 3, but we have to go get our nemesis and do the nemesis stuff. So let's find Azazel. This is Azazel. Shows up first. Attacks for 3, cannot be attached. Even schemes for 2, which is kind of rough, but has quick strike. So he's attacking us right now. Now we actually have no interest defeating Azazel, and you'll see why in a second. We could defend against him, which in theory just like recovers 3, but we actually want to be ready because we're going to have a 5 threat scheme in a second, which us plus Professor X clears perfectly for 5. So I think we're just going to tank this Azazel damage. So we'll take 3. We do retaliate 1. If we could knock him out, maybe we would because of change of fortune, but we just can't, and we can't attach anything to him. This reveals one of the coolest cards. The fact that they can make this guy phase around in a somewhat Nightcrawler-esque way is pretty awesome. This comes in with 5 threat and has a hazard, so we want to clear it. And it says, when defeated, the player who defeated this scheme finds Azazel and deals him to themselves as a face down encounter card. Now, find him actually works on the table. So as soon as we clear this, he'll just flip to face down encounter card, and we'll draw him next turn as a quick strike minion, which again could set up a change of fortune if we draw a riposte or enough retaliate, which we technically can do in this deck. But that means if we clear this, he just kind of goes away. So we have no reason of defeating him twice. He shuffles a bunch of cards in here. One of them is attachment. The other two, I think, just like jump on you. Azazel shows up again, which means a 3 attack quick strike can show up out of nowhere, which is very important that we are not exhausted sometimes going into an encounter card. All right, it's back to us. I actually really like this Nemesis. I think it's very interesting. So I think it's pretty straightforward. I think, okay, so hold on. Actually, the unstraightforward thing is whether we taunt this turn. Because we can do X-Jet plus 2 taunts for the Professor. The Professor we can't confuse Captain America, so he could maybe ready us. Actually, because he can ready us, we actually could have blocked here. Maybe we do block here, because we're not doing much else. Yeah, maybe we should have blocked, actually. Because Professor X is not going to stun Azazel, it's not going to confuse Captain America, so let's just retcon it. We haven't gained any extra information, but I'm realizing he can ready us. So when Azazel attacks, we might as well have blocked 3, so we take no damage. We block 5 technically, so I'll recover 3. Yeah, I think that's a lot better. That being said, hold on. The difference now is that we're committing to not play taunt, so I guess we should have thought that through. So again, if we want to play Prof, it's going to be X-Jet plus 2. That means we can put Bamf on Captain America. We clear this. We can't play the armor. We could hold the armor. I think we actually do hold the armor. The problem is if we hold the armor, we're not drawing deeper into our deck, and we want to find a riposte to knock out Azazel when he shows up again. It's only 2 in like, I would say 22. So like vibes math 40%. I think it's okay. I think we want the armor. Again, we have to do our damage somehow to Captain America. So we will X-Jet, double taunt for the Professor. We use the Professor to ready an X-Men. That's us. Hey, X-Men. We also now can block Professor X into Captain America, and we can defend against Azazel, which, I mean, that's an option. We can do that. We might. We will use Professor X and ourselves to thwart 5 off Brimstone. And again, when this is defeated, we deal Azazel to ourselves as an encounter card, which was cool. It kind of disappears for a second. We'll just attach Bamf to Captain America, and we'll hold on to Electrostatic, and we'll pass. We have a lot of moving pieces. Got to make sure they're all ready. We'll draw back up. So we're really looking here for a riposte for Azazel. I don't know how this keeps happening. I'm like, I feel weird about it, but yeah, that's kind of sick. That's exactly what we want. That's amazing. Dauntless is not going to do anything because we're under health, but maybe with Kurt's Chapel, I think our Port Away still is coming up. How does he do that? Like what? Okay, that's sick. And then we have a Tally Ho, which actually is also playable. So hold on, we have some cool decisions. Once you're set up, like, man, this deck pops off. This goes to 2. Okay, so we need to counter resources here. We want to play Riposte against Azazel, which will draw us 2 more cards. Captain America, we probably, like, we can just leave this Bamf on Captain America. We don't have to Tally Ho it, and we can use Professor X for the block. Technically, we are going to be losing, like, 5 damage. Like, no, we can just knock out Captain America here and not use Professor X, and use Professor X for an encounter card. So I actually do think we Tally Ho Captain America because it knocks him out. And when you knock out the Civil War villains, they say that during this phase, they can no longer take damage, which means we can start the hero phase and start damaging, as much as that's not a thing we do. The only downside is it fires Change of Fortune on Captain America, not Azazel, which, I mean, it still fires, I guess. But in theory, we could juice it so it fires next turn as well. Let me think. So we have Riposte Prehensile, which draws Unflappable on Change of Fortune, which is probably just enough. I think, yeah, honestly, we probably just let Professor X take this. Because then we can Change of Fortune next turn. And then with this hand, we can set up both of these. We can Port Away. We can do some really cool stuff. So yeah, this is fine. Captain America's attacking. For a 2 and Amplify on a card, we'll block with the Professor. 1, 2, 3. Boost on Iron Fist. The enemy leader attacks your leader. Do not give it a boost card for this deck. I don't think that does anything. So Professor X got knocked out. There's some cards that like don't actually have translations when you play solo, which is kind of weird. But it is what it is. 2 encounter cards. First one. Oh, no surprise. It's Azazel. So quick strike for 3. So we do have to exhaust against this one. That's the one downside. So we're going to defend. Prehensile to generate 1, we'll play Riposte. So Riposte says, when your hero defends against an attack, if it gains +2 defense for the attack, if you take no damage, deal 3. So technically it does a Flow Like Water, which so far the Flow Like Waters haven't really mattered. And then we get attacked for 3. We retaliate 1 first. We took no damage, so Riposte knocks out Azazel. He probably will be showing up again. So we have a couple triggers here. Whole bunch of triggers. Firstly, Unflappable. We defended and didn't take damage, so we'll draw a card. And then most importantly, Change of Fortune fires, which we knock something out during a villain phase, so we draw 2 cards. So this is where we're drawing into a lot of defense events, which might not be useful here because we're exhausted, but at least if Captain America attacks, we'll be able to do something because of Bamf. All right, defenders. The titular scheme. Acceleration, Every minion gets guard. That doesn't matter. We don't attack. But the acceleration matters just a bit. So cool. That's there. Back to us. How good of a turn do we have? I think it's a neat turn. It's definitely a neat turn because we can recover. We can ready. We could thwart too. I don't think we really need to. But I think we're going to do a lot of the last parts of setup that we're waiting on. So let's just set up. Let us just set up. So firstly, we'll play all the cards we want to. We'll play Dauntless. Actually, first let's play Electrostatic Armor. It's easier to fire. So this is like kind of Retaliate. It says when we defend, we get Retaliate. Fires at a slightly different trigger, but not super important. We'll put out Not Today for an Unflappable. We're running out of space. Sorry, Dauntless, not Unflappable. This is truly Retaliate as long as we're above 9 health, which we can get there. We're going to have to recover today. We'll throw out Defensive Energy to use our hero text to go get a Bamf. Then we're going to port away. We're going to discard that Bamf to jump down to Alter Ego, and we're going to ready ourselves. Make a bit more space here. Here in Alter Ego, we just want to be ready, so we have double Retaliate. So we're going to recover for 3, which is 4 with Kurt's Chapel. So we recover 4. We draw a card. Day Tripper, okay. In theory, we could search our deck for a Bamf. I don't think we need to. Day Tripper is actually not like an amazing play here, because one of the cool parts of the value is she grabs a Bamf, but she can't because you can only stack 1 per character. So I think we might hold on to her. The other options, we hold on to Tally Ho. Holding on to Tally Ho is probably better because it ensures Captain America gets knocked out. So if that's the case, we're just going to throw a Day Tripper, I guess. No, actually, I don't think we were. I think we're going to go grab a Bamf. We'll use our Alter Ego to search for a Bamf. Yeah, I think we're going to hold on to both of those cards. If we don't want to Tally Ho, we could get this done with Excelsior too. But we're going to flip back up. We're at full health, so we technically have 2 Retaliate. We're going to throw out the Bamf, play the Excelsior, which I'll put down here. Hopefully I'll remember it. So this says whenever we're attacked, we can spend energy, and I actually will float these 2 cards because I think they're good enough. We need to be thwarting this next turn, and Tally Ho is like really good, and it knocks out Captain America. We draw 300 cards. We'll pass. Change of Fortune decks are so much fun. Portent Punch, useless card, self-inflicted. It's okay. We're actually doing a lot of damage now. Okay, second Portent Punch, and lastly, Riposte. So we have multiple ways to knock out Captain America. I think our choice is going to be Tally Ho because it gives us the Bamf back. It's not a big difference. They both do enough damage. All right, this goes to 4 because of acceleration. Captain America attacks us. We're going to play Tally Ho using our Prehensile Tail. So firstly, it does 1 damage because it's a defense event. So after Bamf makes Nightcrawler the defender of an attack, return that Bamf and then deal 3 damage. So if I'm not mistaken, this happens immediately. So Captain America immediately takes 3 damage. So technically we get attacked by Captain America side 4. It doesn't stop the attack, but Captain America now does take 3 damage. And Captain America is technically defeated, which means Change of Fortune just fires here. We draw 2 cards. We draw Not Today and an Energy. I still think we're allowed to play the Not Today because all this was during the Bamf window, and the Bamf window is when attached enemy attacks. It's not the defense step. Let me know in the comments. I'm like pretty sure of this. But Captain America advances. Now has 22 health. Again, we got through 19 without attacking. When revealed, we get another encounter card waiting for us. And can't take any more damage this phase, which is a bummer because we're wasting all this Retaliate, but it should be okay. Now, I'm pretty sure we can do this, that we can do Portent Punch still into Not Today, because we still haven't got to the defense step where we're deciding to defend. Actually, maybe we did, but I think these are all the same step, because this is all like when you defend stuff. I don't know. Maybe it mattered. If someone can make this make sense, I'd appreciate it, but I'm pretty sure you can still do this stuff. So now we're defending for 7 without blocking. If we take no damage, we remove 2 threat. This technically does a damage, but we can't. So Captain America is attacking now for 3 plus an amplify, which is 4. So there's no actual text here. So he's attacking for 3. I find it really weird when they advance, they don't like get the shield back or do anything thematic. It's just can't take damage. Anyways, attacking for 3, 4, 5, 6. This is Shield Toss. It's a pretty mean card because we're never taking the shield off. So it can just hit us for 2 damage. But again, 3, 4, 5, 6. We take no damage, which remove 2 threat from his scheme. I think we're going to do this in case we get an advance, because this we can clear next turn with Day Tripper and ourselves. 2 encounter cards. First one, Exhaustion. Bummer. We don't like to be exhausted. That's going to hurt our plan of clearing the defender. So we exhaust and surge. Dark Force. So this is a weird one. It gets attached to Captain America. We can't get rid of it. It just gets rid of itself when he schemes. So gives +1 scheme. And after attached leader schemes and places threat on the main scheme, remove an equal amount of threat. So it just adds 1 scheme and disappears. Really strange in solo. Assault. Oh, so we are unprepared for this, unfortunately. So Captain America is attacking us for 3 and a boost and a card, and we are exhausted. So there's nothing we can do here. We can't bamf, we can't riposte. That exhaustion was pretty bad, so we're just gonna have to take it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just 4. Okay. 4 is unfortunately too much because we lose our second retaliate after we take 4 damage. So we're down to 8, which is below our starting health. We do trigger retaliate 1. Oh, sorry, can't take damage, excuse me. So retaliate doesn't happen. Unflappable, I think, should have fired, excuse me, because we blocked and didn't take damage. I did forget that when we blocked the not today. So we drew a taunt, which is actually playable here. And that's all we got. Okay. All right. Just to do 22 more damage. Honestly, every defend that we usually defend does about 5 damage, so it shouldn't take that long. In fact, I think we're going to start here because we got to do the cool thing that we got to do. So I'm going to do energy. And I'm going to go straight into Day Tripper. And when Day Tripper enters play, we can add a bamf and do 1 damage to that character. So Captain America is going to take 1 down to 21. Okay. Now we can block without exhausting, which is perfect because I think we're going to use X-Jet to play taunt. Gee, is it going to be X-Jet? No, it should just be Port and Punch because we're never going to use Port and Punch. So we'll use Port and Punch to play taunt. So now Captain America is attacking us. And after that, we take 3 cards. So we're getting attacked for 3 plus 1 in a card. We're going to get rid of the bamf. So we're defending without defending. And then I guess we're going to do X-Jet into riposte. So it is a defense event. Flow like water will do 1 to the villain. And we're now blocking for 7. Attacking for 3, 4. Boost. Luke Cage, I think, stuns us. Stun your leader, otherwise you're stunned. So we're stunned. That's fine. We have no attacks we want to play. So a bunch of things happen. Firstly, we take no damage. So riposte does 3 to the villain. Retaliate 1. Another retaliate because electrostatic because we defended. Pseudo retaliate. We can't fire Unflappable because we already fired it. I think that's all we have. Taunt now draws 3 cards. Again, so nice when you have defense cards. We almost deck out. A bit ugly because Day Tripper will miss it, but not the worst. And now we actually can play Jocasta, who's really good because she can get our best defense event out, which is probably riposte here. And then Day Tripper plus her can deal with the defenders. And we still have a bamf to miss the deck out. That's perfect. So we'll attach a bamf, and we'll pay 1, 2, 3 for Jocasta. When she enters play, she can search our discard pile, and our discard pile is our entire deck, barring 1 card, and attach it to that. We can play it as if it were in her hand. So I'm assuming the best card is riposte. It technically gives us +2 defense, which makes it easier for us to hit our perfect block stuff. Otherwise, if you want to do tally ho, it's like similar in terms of the damage, but it does not boost your defense. Then we'll just thwart for 2, clearing the defenders. All right, home stretch. Again, we did 7 damage that turn without attacking. We should be able to do a fair bit here, probably about another 7 or so. We draw not today. That's good. It's playable. Again, our deck at this point is almost entirely attacks. I've been forgetting that we can be firing Man Excelsior. I need to move this up. But any turn that we have an extra card in hand, which that turn admittedly we didn't, this is something we need to consider firing. So apologies, I probably forgot that once or twice. So we draw up, shuffle, keep drawing, just clean that up a bit, shuffle and draw. Yeah, again, spending a card for 2 damage, this is exactly at the end of the game where like we're 1 or 2 attacks away from closing the game. Even every taunt we play, if we defend, does like 2 damage at a minimum, which is really funny. Okay, we get a riposte, that's perfect. A defensive energy, so good. Strength is whatever, and a port away. So again, our deck gets really consistent when all the upgrades are out. The defensive energies line up with the defense events. This goes to 3. Captain America is attacking for 3 and a card. I think we might thwart with Jocasta, so I'm tempted to use her card first. So I think we will. We will bamf, so we don't have to exhaust. We'll play defensive energy for this riposte. Of course, defensive energy immediately, because it's an interrupt, draws a card. We play for the riposte. We played for the riposte with Flow Like Water, so it does 1 damage to the villain. And so now we're blocking for 7. If we take no damage, riposte fires, which does a bunch of damage. So again, 3, 4, boost, attach this card to a minion, so this doesn't do anything. So it's only being attacked for 4. We take no damage. Triggers, riposte does 3 to the villain. We do retaliate 1. We do retaliate, pseudo retaliate 2. We unflappable draw a card. And now we can decide to spend energy to do 2 damage. We have 2 ripostes and a taunt, which it's probably we're gonna end the game. So I'm not going to, because I think we don't need to. Yeah, we can end the game if Captain America has the gall to attack us 1 more time. First card, Azazel Sword. This will attach to Captain America, I think. So actually, he gets his own sword. So fitting conclusion here. Attacks get piercing and +1 attack. And after the attached enemy attacks you, you can choose to discard a card randomly from your hand to discard this. Caught off guard. Well, we have enough stuff on the table. We'll just get rid of the chapel. And let's finish the game. So all we're going to do here is let Captain America attack us for 1 final time. We're going to use Prehensile Tail to generate a card for an event. we're going to play the taunt. So Captain America is attacking us. So attacking for 3 and a boost and 1. So being attacked for 4, we're going to just mag dump. So we're going to do X-Jet for riposte. As soon as we play the riposte, we do 1 damage because of flow like water. We will do Fort away, I guess. No, we'll do the strength for another riposte. That's another flow like water damage. Villain's down to 7. So we're blocking for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We take no damage. He gets flatlined. So 3, 4, 5. Take no damage. Does 3. Does 3. Retaliate 1. Retaliate 1. Defeated. Change of fortune draws 2. Nice. That's good. We got him. You can keep your sword. That is sword beating shield. This is a really fun matchup. I think there's a lot that's going actually quite in our favor. It's kind of cool if we actually grab the shield because it gives us an additional retaliate, which I think goes pretty far for this deck. But again, the bad thing about Captain America is if you attack him, you take the shield, he has a retaliate, that sort of stuff, and we just totally play around it entirely. The thwarting can get a bit goofy. We didn't see that many minions. I think we saw a couple, but mostly I believe they were boost cards. But we are set up to do some cool change of fortune stuff. And again, once you can get to this point and set up, your deck is like just all gas, all events. And every hand is like super playable, can just dump it and keep drawing. Shout out to Taunt. Taunt is just like the coolest card. I'm glad that it's got reprinted in Civil War. I like this art a fair bit too. Of course, if you want to try this deck out, it is linked in the description below. You just have to hit the more button on YouTube. There's a Marvel CDB link. Flow like water, I'll probably put it on screen right now how much damage it did. And then I'll record every possible reaction. If it was like a really big number, whoa, or if it was a low number. I think a couple of those instances didn't matter because we knocked out Captain America anyways, but that's flow like water. So it's hard to put a deck that's entirely events because you draw weird hands, but yeah, maybe Taunt saves all of that. Thanks so much for watching. Again, if you appreciate content like this, you want to leave a like. You want to subscribe to the channel. Also, we're very close to 1,000 subscribers. By the time this comes out, we might actually be there. Regardless, thank you so much if you've been supporting the channel. We've been doing this for less than a year, and I'm just so thankful for everyone who wants to show up and watch some Marvel Champions, hang out. And speaking of hangout, we stream Sunday mornings usually. Do a live stream. The VOD is up if you want to catch those. But otherwise, again, thanks so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.